Guys, welcome back to the Cold Hard. Our 50th episode of the Cold Hard Truth. So clap it up for the three of us. Peyton's going to be joining in a minute. Again, 50 episodes so far. We love bringing you guys content every single week. Again, live Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. We're going to jump into it. A lot of Week 5 NFL topics to get into. A ton of MLB wildcard reactions, as well as our divisional series predictions coming at you in a little bit. All that and more right now on the Cold Hard Truth.
Are you crazy?
God, that's insane. Buddy, what are you doing?
Like I said in the opening, our 50th episode of the Cold Hard Truth is officially here. We got Peyton joining up with us. Guys, I'm ready to get into this. I hope you guys are. We have had a crazy week of sports. MLB wildcard weekend just wrapped up. The divisional round starting tomorrow. We had Week 5 of the NFL season. Another game tonight. First thing I want to start off with, though, MLB wildcard reactions. I don't really want to do it to him, but I have to go to Conor first. Your reactions to the Mets losing in 3 games, getting shut out in Game 3, only getting 1 run in Game 1. What are your reactions to that series and the way your season finished off?
Yeah, today's a little bittersweet for me. This team had so much promise for 5 months, and September was just a rough month. They didn't play well against a really weak part of the schedule. Got swept in Atlanta, and then looked like garbage this past weekend against the Padres, even with the Game 2 nice win. But the guy you're paying $43 million for doesn't show up in his biggest starts of the season. You're not going to win. We don't know if Jacob deGrom's going to be back next year. Chris Bassett, he just looked awful in Atlanta and yesterday also after just horrible. But the thing is, I've been thinking about this today. The Mets season is a huge disappointment just because they didn't even make it out of the wild card round after winning 101 games. But winning over 100 games in itself is an accomplishment. And to go from a 77 win team last year to a 101 win team this year, you have to like where the Mets are headed in the future.
Yeah, you can't call it you can't call it a failure, but definitely a disappointment, because a failure would have been missing the playoffs again after getting Scherzer in the offseason. So I'd say, yeah, I agree with you. It's a disappointment, not a failure. My one thing I will say that you were 100% right on about your Mets was the hitting. The lack of hitting really did show itself in this 3-game series, which I thought could be overcome by having Scherzer and DeGrom pitching those first 2 games. And in Game 2, it was overcome. The hitting did show up, but DeGrom pitched a gem. Game 1, it couldn't be overcome because Scherzer didn't pitch a good game. What was it, four home runs, I believe, or 4 earned runs in total?
4 home runs, 7 runs, and I think 4 2/3 he went. It was
that was the big thing, is that Scherzer didn't show up, and that couldn't overcome the lack of hitting within that lineup outside of Lindor and Pete Alonso. Jacob, your thoughts on the series? What led to the Mets' downfall? Disappointment? Is it a failure of a season? Your thoughts on that series and the Mets getting knocked out by the Padres?
Yeah, I think honestly the most surprising part of the whole 3-day series, it honestly wasn't the hitting, because like Conor said, they showed signs throughout the year of struggling to hit. The most surprising part for me came within the dugout. Buck Showalter was just absolutely abysmal in this series with almost every decision he made. And I was shocked because I love Buck. I think Buck is one of the best baseball minds around. I think most people would agree. But starting with the decision, with the whole if thing. And I was arguing with you guys, arguing with my roommates about, he came out and he said, if we win, then we're going to pitch to DeGrom. And if we don't win, then we're not, whatever it was, or other way around. Why? It's overthinking it, man. Yeah. You put your ace out Game 1. I know Scherzer was your ace for the year. I thought DeGrom 100% gets that first start. He's been a Met uniform longer than anybody on the entire roster. And then now you put him in a Game 2. And then it's like, yeah, you had to win game 2, but what about game 3? I mean, why would you even have wanted to been in the if position in the first place? What I don't understand. Never mind the fact that he publicly announced it was probably the worst part of all. I mean, it's like, it's one thing to have a plan. Like you're thinking, you're talking to the coaches. If this happens, then we'll do this. And if this doesn't happen, then we'll do this. But to make a public statement, I think that actually put extra pressure on Chris Bassett because then now this poor guy has the whole season on the line. And it's like, sure, he gets a home game 3. It's not the worst situation, but you're facing probably a top 5 lineup in the league. And you have your 101 season on the line with neither of your best pitchers pitching. He went about it terribly. Bullpen decisions were questionable. Brandon Ruff DHing was the worst decision. I mean, you put a guy at DH.
Got on base twice.
But you put a guy at DH that can't hit. I mean, that's the point of the DH is to have somebody. I mean, like even if Alvarez goes in there 21 years old with nerves, and I was listening to Michael Kay, he said there's a better chance that Alvarez accidentally runs into one than Ruff does anything. And Ruff got on first base a couple times, but if you give Alvarez 8 at-bats at DH, he's probably going to hit a couple extra base hits and maybe even a home run, which clearly was exactly what they needed. So poorly managed series. Not a failure of a season, like you said. They were a lot better than last year, but I mean, just disappointment prevails.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll run through the other 3 series before we get to our divisional predictions. And we'll finish with the National League. The St. Louis Cardinals, the 3 seed, gets swept by the Phillies. Bryce Harper moving on to the divisional series. Paul Goldschmidt, I believe, Conor and Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, he was 0 for 8, 0 for 9. Didn't get a hit in this entire series. The guy who was basically the front runner for NL MVP the entire season doesn't come up with a hit in this wild card series. Totally let them down. Phillies moving on to face the Braves. We'll head over to the AL. The Tampa Bay Rays, Connor's World Series team prediction ahead of the playoffs, gets swept by the Guardians in a thriller of a 15-inning. What was it, like 10 hit combined?
Really good weekend for me, Tina. Really good.
Yeah, prediction-wise in the favorite team, but the Tampa Bay Rays and the Guardians sweep them 2-0 in a 15-inning game where I think they both teams combined for 10 hits in 15 innings. An insane pitching game by both the starters and the bullpen. And the final series, the Seattle Mariners making history in game 2 after sweeping the Blue Jays down 8-1. I believe it was in the top of the 6th inning. And they were the 3rd team in MLB history to come back from a 7-run deficit in the postseason outside of the 1926 Athletics and the 2008 Boston Red Sox. An unbelievable comeback. They win 10-9. They move on to face the Astros. With all that being said, we'll head to our divisional series MLB predictions. Jacob, I'm going to start with you. We'll go through American League first. Give me your Yankees, Guardians, Mariners, Astros. How many games? Who's going to win? Let me hear your predictions.
Well, just really, really, really quick. I mean, Vlad Guerrero. I mean, what a sick joke. This is my house first last weekend when you lose the division to the Yankees, and then you blow an 8-1 game at home to lose your season. I mean, dude, that might be the worst beat. I mean, this guy just must have had the worst week I've ever seen, bro. I mean, and sorry to our buddy Ian Spracklin if he's listening, but my God, Peyton, maybe if you want, before we go in, just a couple quick words about the Blue Jays, because I know you kind of get on the tail end with Ian there, but oh my God.
It was a bad week. It was a sad week. Can everybody hear me? First off, can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay, cool. I've got no other. I don't watch baseball, so I just feel like a schlub talking about baseball with you folks. So I'm just gonna pipe down and keep quiet over here until football starts getting talked about. So
that's fine. No, I'll go into my predictions. I just thought that was worth mentioning only because it's one thing with the Cardinals, you kind of feel bad for them, especially with those 3 guys retiring and they go out like that. But the Blue Jays, just they got what they deserved. I mean, you can't come out talking like that with no preconceived reason that you have any reason to believe that you're better than anyone else. I mean, anyway, so I'll go into the Astros first. I mean, dude, the Mariners are, wow. I mean, their hitting is unbelievable. And I think their pitching and their bullpen, obviously, they weren't fantastic, but I think it's a little bit better than we all probably thought. I think that I especially thought they relied on their hitting more than they did. But they can pitch too. I don't think there's enough of a reason to think the Astros lose this series, especially considering the pitching matchup tomorrow night, where they get to have Verlander pitch against the Mariners' 3rd guy. I don't even know who he is. So I think the Astros probably win in 4. I think the Mariners get a game, especially at home. Their crowd is going to be amazing. They had the longest playoff drought out of any team in the league, and now they find themselves in an ALDS with the Astros. So a lot of reason to believe they'll make noise, but the Astros are just too good. I say they win in 4. And I think same amount of games for our Yankees. I think that tomorrow night, very similarly, I'll be in attendance at the game, very similarly to the Astros situation.
Yeah.
We get to throw out Cole, which, of course, we can't be sure of, but they're throwing their third, Cal Quantrill, who's been very mediocre this season. And I just think that the Yankees crowd tomorrow night can hopefully will Cole enough to have a good start. I think that Boone made the exact right decision in the end to go Cole, Nestor, and then Sevy, because I think Sevy out of the 3 is the most well-poised to pitch that away game, because I think that the other 2, Nestor, complete inexperience, and Cole, we know what happens when he pitches in hard atmospheres on the road in the playoffs. We don't even have to talk about last season. Peyton's giving a smirk. But I think the Yankees win in 4 games. I think it'll be a similar series. Guardians probably get one of the 2 home games that they have, but I think the Yankees win the series 3-1.
All right, so you got the Yankees and the Astros in 4. Connor, give us your predictions.
Ooh, all right. I'm with the Astros and the Mariners. I agree with Jacob 100%. I think the Astros just have that championship pedigree, even though they cheated. Yeah, I know, but they've been in the playoffs consistently over the past couple of years, and but I will say about the Mariners that they know how to win on the road in the postseason now. They haven't even played a home game yet, so I expect the Astros to win in 4, but don't be surprised if the Mariners maybe steal 1 or maybe even more on the road against Houston. Yankees Guardians. I don't know if they're going to chirp back at me or not, but this series can go in so many different ways. The Yankees are either going to hit home runs like they do and just bludgeon them, or it's going to be really even between the pitching staffs. I think the pitching staffs are neck and neck, the starters. And the bullpen,
wow, okay,
I think goes in the Guardians' favor just because the Yankees don't have a closer. It's by committee. And that is where I lean towards the Guardians in 5. I think that the Guardians' bullpen is very good. Dude, their top 6 relievers, all of them have ERAs under 3.5. They're a contact-oriented team who don't strike out at all. Yes, the Yankees have more experience in the postseason. They have home field advantage. But I think Guardians in 5, and also the winner of tomorrow night's game, I think wins the series. But my final prediction is Guardians in 5 games.
All right, Jacob, just like for the sake of everything, like that just can't happen just for like the sanity of the 2 of us. But like, all right, let me go with the Astros first. The Astros, in my opinion, I think they're going to win in 4 games. I think the Mariners will get 1 at home. I know they've learned how to win on the road now, but you just look at the Astros again. They're going to throw out Verlander in game 1, probably Jose Urquidy maybe in game 2, and then Valdez in game 3. Whatever order you want to do with Valdez and Urquidy. Their starting pitching is probably the best unit in the playoffs right now, because without Walker Buehler, the Dodgers don't compare. I would give it to the Astros. They'll win in 4 games. No question there. Yankees Guardians. I'm going to go with the Yankees in 5. I think it will go 5 games, but I got the Yankees winning it. I know that Shane Bieber, when the Yankees have to go up against Shane Bieber, that's going to be a tough game. Bieber's one of the best young pitchers in baseball, or at least he was over the last, this is his 3rd year, right, Connor?
I believe so. Yeah, around there, like 3 or 4 years.
Third or 4th year, yeah. But so he's been one of the best young pitchers in the MLB for a while. I'd go with the Yankees in 5. I agree. It's going to be a tougher series than I expected. I did not think the Guardians would look as good as they did against the Rays. The thing that concerns me about the Guardians is in a 15-inning game, in a slugfest like that, that is just about sheer willpower and ability to gut out a win in the worst kind of circumstances in a tough-nosed game. That's what scares me about that team, is they have the personnel to be able to win a game like that if it comes to that point. And with a bullpen like that, like you mentioned, they'll be able to maybe draw the Yankees into a situation like that where they can then come out of it. And I'll bring up some players. Jose Ramirez, he's somebody who could really damage the Yankees in a home game, especially in Cleveland. When they go home for games 3 and 4, Jose Ramirez could be somebody that can get that crowd going, hit a 2-run, 3-run shot at some point. He could be a detriment to the Yankees' chances on the road. I'm still going to go with them in 5, though. I will go with them. Moving on to the National League. I'm going to go first. I'll go with the Braves and the Phillies. I have the Braves winning this in 4 games. I know the Phillies look good against the Cardinals, but regardless of whoever won that series, I was going to pick the Braves in 4 games. The Braves are a well-rounded, really, really talented roster. They have Ronald Acuna Jr. back. Didn't have him last year. I know Freddie Freeman's no longer there, but I still think without him, they are one of the best teams in baseball. They're the defending champs for a reason. I'm giving them their respect. They are 5-time, I believe, NL East division champions in a row since 2018. Yeah, 5 years. I'm going to go with them in 4 games. Dodgers, Padres. I mean, if the Mets had moved on, I think it would have been a little bit different, but I have the Dodgers winning. I have the Dodgers sweeping them in 3 games. I think the Dodgers are just way too talented. I know they have Yu Darvish, who used to play, a former Dodger, by the way. I know they have Musgrove. Blake Snell didn't look good at all against the Mets, so I'm not really concerned about him. More so Musgrove and Darvish. Even still, despite that, I don't see there's no weakness in their lineup. There's nowhere to pitch around. You got Betts, you got Freeman, you got Max Muncy. Is Trey Turner still there? Or am I wrong in that?
Yeah, he's
Trey
there.
Turner, Chris Taylor's still there, right?
Yeah, Chris Taylor, Bellinger.
Yeah, Bellinger's batting like 8th or 9th, and he's a former NL MVP, and he hasn't been as good, in the past few years as he was when he was a younger player. But he's still an MVP, in his younger years, and he's batting 9th in that lineup. I just don't, Justin Turner, I didn't even mention. There's too much in that lineup for the Padres to have a chance. I have the Dodgers sweeping them. It's not a doubt in my mind. Dodgers Braves, if that happens, will be a little bit more interesting. But I got Braves and Dodgers moving on. A rematch of the NLCS. Conor, what are your National League predictions?
Well, first of all, I hate this first series just because I hate both teams, Phillies and Braves. I don't take pleasure in saying that any of them are going anywhere, but I'm actually going to go with the Phillies in 5 games.
Dude, this guy's picking the upsets today. What the heck is going on?
I just same as the Mariners and the Padres. They know how to win on the road now in the postseason in hostile environments. And they're riding high on confidence. Their lineup is built to destroy, similar to the Braves. So I think that they're going to be slugfest games. But I like Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola more than the Braves young starters. So I'm gonna pick the Phillies in 5 games.
All right.
And I'm going to say Dodgers in 4. I just think that the Padres get one at home. I think that they pitch Musgrove at home, where he's from. He's from San Diego. He dominated last night, gave up 1 hit against the Mets. So, but the Dodgers and Phillies move on to the NLCS.
Wow. Jacob, National League, what do you got?
I actually agree with Conor. Something about this Phillies team, I like the idea of a team that squeaks into the playoffs, very similar to the Nationals in 2019. They were playing to get in towards the end of the year. And there's just something in baseball about getting hot at the end of the year and just rolling it straight through the playoffs. And it doesn't always matter who's on guys' teams, and guys overperform. And I honestly, I really do believe that on paper, I think the Phillies have a bit better of a lineup than the Braves. They're so deep.
Batting wise or pitching?
Batting wise, I really do. Don't get me wrong, it's really close. But I think the Phillies bats are the type of bats, especially their lefty bats, that can get hot in the playoffs.
Schwarber, especially.
Schwarber and Bryce Harper, I get that. But I agree with Conor about the pitching, possibly. But I don't know. You got Travis d'Arnaud, Acuna, you got Ozzie Albies is still there, right?
No, Braves are probably a bit better team all around. But I think it goes 5 games, regardless of who wins. And I just think the Phillies just have that mentality that they want to be that Cinderella team this year. And it feels like in baseball, it's pretty common. We saw a couple of the times the Red Sox made runs, it wasn't really expected. You knew they were good enough, but you didn't know that was going to be their year. And it's like this in baseball. And of course, in every sport, you only have one winner. But in baseball, it kind of feels a little extra like any team could win. And I'm not saying the Phillies are going to win, but I think they get this series in a long one, 5 games. Dodgers are unstoppable. We were talking last night when we were watching the game. Does this, winning in New York against the Mets make the Padres a contender? I don't think so. 4 games at most. Probably 3, honestly.
I said 3. I think it's a sweep.
It definitely could go 4. Definitely could. But I think 3.
Yeah. I'll mention something else. Are you guys surprised at what the Padres were able to do without Tatis? Or did you, Conor, I feel like you almost kind of expected this because you thought Tatis was in cancer in the locker room. I don't know.
Well,
were you surprised by the success?
I really wasn't, because this reminded me of the Braves last year without Acuna. They just snap into this, type of, psyche where, this guy He let us down. We've been here all year. These guys are the ones that got us here, and we're just going to go into the playoffs and win. I really just think that that's their mentality, even going up against the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium coming up.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to move on from baseball, though, go to the NFL. We had some breaking news earlier this morning today. Matt Rule, former head coach of the Carolina Panthers, was fired today after the Panthers have started 1-4. I'm forgetting the year Matt Rule was hired, but I know he's been there at least, I think, 2-3 years, if I'm not mistaken, around there.
Yeah.
What was it, 2018?
I thought it was 2020.
All right, 20. All right, so he's been there. All right, so this was his second year then, or I guess third year, whatever. It doesn't matter. Bottom line, Peyton, I'll go to you first because we were talking about baseball for a long time, so I want to get you in here. Thoughts on the Matt Rule firing? Right decision? Is Baker what is this going to mean for the Panthers going forward?
Right decision. I don't know if it makes a big difference in their outcome by the end of the season. I mean, Baker's played okay. He hasn't played great by any stretch of the imagination.
He's played awful.
He's played pretty bad. But again, I don't really.
He had a 7.2 QBR against the Cardinals. I mean, that's
very bad. That's very bad. Yeah, that's very bad. No, yeah, I think it's the right decision to fire Matt Rule. Do I think it changes, the outcome for the Panthers by the end of the season? No, they're a bad football team. They will continue to be bad. They might get slightly better. I don't really think the head coach changes the quarterback play necessarily. So right decision. Does it change anything? Not much. No.
Connor, the right decision?
Definitely. I don't want to bring in the Giants just yet because I know that we're going to get to them, but I think that Brian Dable is getting the attention of front offices. Like, if you don't have a lot of talent, but the coaching is there, you can still succeed in the NFL. I mean, the Giants' talent is not that great, let's be honest, but the coaching staff has been unreal. And I think that Matt Rule is just the beginning of some coaches who have talent on their roster and really just can't get anything out of them. So, definitely the right decision by the Panthers.
Peyton's going to bring some of that stuff up because we're going to talk about some coaches on the hot seat. I know Peyton wanted to talk about that a little bit, but Jacob, Matt Rule getting fired, right decision for the Panthers?
I mean, what Conor just said is exactly all I could think about even yesterday before the firing, because we were talking about the game. We watched, the later window where they just stunk it up. And it shows that out of all the professional sports that we all follow, coaching in football it doesn't just matter the most. It probably matters the most by a lot because Dable is a prime example. And then you just have guys spread out throughout the league. It's like this Panthers team. I mean, this team with a good coach should be 3-2. I mean,
the competition. The competition hasn't been that hard, and they are a talented team with McCaffrey, DJ Moore, a good defense. Like, they shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah, I don't think they're great or a playoff team by any stretch of imagination. But I mean, they're looking like the worst team in the league, right? They look like the least competitive team in the entire NFL. Besides, maybe even the Texans got a decent win yesterday, but it's bad. And Rule had to be fired, no question. And boy, did the Giants luck out, because I'm sure we all remember that he was almost a Giants coach, and the Giant fans Giant fans wanted him.
Rule, we got Joe Judge. How about that?
But Joe Judge, as Peyton said, led to stable with Dable, baby. We got Brian Dable in there. Like, that's the
stability.
Whole thing.
He's very stable.
And honestly, Jacob, it reinforces your point that you made earlier in the year as to why the Chiefs were going to be so good. Andy Reid as the head coach, that was your big harping point as to why you thought they were still going to be successful without Tyreek Hill, is the coaching. So this almost just reinforces your point of how vital coaching is to these teams, and just being able to scheme up a good offense, play calling, understanding your personnel, that kind of thing. It really does play a huge part in this. But Peyton, I know you wanted to bring up some other coaches that you think are on the hot seat, so we can discuss that. I have a coach in mind myself.
I have two. I got two. Mainly Nathaniel Hackett, one. That's 100%. by far the number one. Number two, Cliff Kingsbury, because I just think that Cardinals defense is good. That Cardinals roster is good. Kyler Murray is allegedly top 5, top 10. I don't know what you want to call him. I'm not a fan, but for how bad they are playing, Cliff Kingsbury sucks, and Nathaniel Hackett is much worse, honestly. I'd take Cliff Kingsbury over Nathaniel Hackett. That Broncos offense looks as unstable and
horrible.
Just nothing figured out. Granted, Javonte Williams is out. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Boone had a decent day, a good defense, and they just can't string together anything defensively, offensively. I mean, their defense played decent, and they've been okay during the season. Surtain's been great. Don't get me wrong. Bradley Chubb's a great player. But for how good this roster is, again, we're looking at a team like the Giants at 3-1, and the Broncos can barely scrape out a win. I mean, absolutely insanity. Those are my main two. You guys can jump in with any opinions that you have on Kingsbury or Hackett, respectively.
I'll say this: Kingsbury. I've been on him for like a year or two now, because in the last two seasons, the Cardinals started off. This is the reason I had him not doing well this year. Mainly was Kingsbury. Last year they started off 7-0 until the Packers, baby. They beat them on the road, sent them to 7-1. They were 7-1. They finished the year, I believe, with a final record of 12-5. Mm-hmm. In the second half of the season, they were 4-6. 5-6. We'll put it that way. But you are 7-0. You should not be finishing 12-5. The year prior to that, they had started off the year, I believe, with about, we'll say like eight some odd wins, maybe like they were like 8-4. I think like 12 weeks. They finished the season with like 9 or 10 wins, only winning 10 games through their final few weeks. This is a team that always manages, in the last few seasons at least, to start off pretty hot, start off consistent, and they plummet in the second half of the season. Kingsbury does not know how to finish off seasons with this team. He doesn't get them to close out well going into the playoffs. This is not a coach, in my opinion, that should have gotten the job to begin with the guys like Eric Bieniemy, who was out there as an option to take as a head coach, even Brian Dable at that point. There were guys out there to take who had NFL experience, had NFL jobs. And this was a guy in Kingsbury that you look at Texas Tech like this is some kind of world beater organization in college, like he had done something magical with this roster. And you bring him in with no prior NFL experience, nothing and even Jim Harbaugh was an option too from Michigan. Or no, John or Jim from Michigan?
No, it's Jim.
Yeah. It is Jim. So so Jim Harbaugh at Michigan was an option too. He's coached a team led to the Super Bowl. In 2 or 3 seasons, he got to the Super Bowl with the 49ers 10 years ago. So the fact that he even got the job was ridiculous. Doesn't deserve it now. Didn't deserve it then. He should be gone. I would fire him right this instant, right now, along with Matt Rule. Nathaniel Hackett, apparently he's a good offensive coordinator for the Packers. He's not a good head coach. And also, let's just say this. I'll bring this up now. I was going to bring it up later. Can we acknowledge that Russell Wilson is kind of washed up at this point?
That's what I'm wondering. That's my main question. Is it a Russ thing or is it a Hackett thing or is it a little bit? It
is both. It is both. It is both. Hackett
are we saying that mainly because of the missed pass to Hamler right at the end of the game?
No, not just that. It's not just in general.
All right. Okay. All right.
It is because of that. Because I made a TikTok video about this. Looking at the play, KJ Hamler I'm going to say this first. What is the number one thing quarterbacks are told when they're practicing and training? Don't stare down the receiver. And what did Russell Wilson do? Stare down the freaking receiver. And what are cornerbacks taught to do? Read the QB's eyes. His eyes, he was dead looking left the entire time, looking at Cortland Sutton with former Defensive Player of the Year Stephon Gilmore draped all over him, who he threw a pick to in the end zone about in the fourth quarter, in the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yep.
KJ Hamler on a pick play on the right side, wide open, does not look at him once. That is showing me a decline right then and there. Regardless of the fact that in that game, he threw 2 picks trying to give this game away, essentially 2 balls that should have never been in the field of play. He should have thrown them out of bounds or taken the sack. Overall, in 5 games, he's thrown 3 interceptions, 4 touchdowns. Their offense, I believe, is 30th or 3rd. They going into Thursday night, they were one of the 3 worst ranked offenses in the NFL, along with the Colts. That was probably one of the worst games I watched. But Hackett and Kingsbury, I went on a rant here, but Kingsbury and Hackett both need to go because of all the things I mentioned. It's a culmination of all of that. Both of them should not be head coaches by any stretch of the imagination. Conor or Jacob, jump in.
I'm just looking at the Broncos right now. They've scored more than 16 points in a game once this year. Oh. I mean, that should really just tell you one time.
But we expect that to increase, right? Or are we just
not at this point? No.
So we're just assuming that Russ is washed up and it's Broncos is all over.
I think so.
Can we shout out Mike Kelly right now? This dude that's commenting. Jimmy G will laugh last. I completely agree, Mike Kelly. Matt Rule is going to be coaching Nebraska. I agree. Wilson is pile of garbage. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
see them getting better. I think Wilson's just taking some extra time to learn the offense. Granted, extra time being 5 weeks, quite a bit of extra time, but I can't see a world where Wilson stays this garbage for the rest of the year. I just Jacob, do you have any opinions? Do you think Wilson's going to get any better? Or do you think he's going to continue to be this bad?
I mean, it's really confusing. I mean, I've always tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think probably a lot of it has to do with the adjustment with the young receivers because they don't really just have much experience. Oh, no, I'm not. Tino,
you need to calm down real quick. All right.
I'm not saying
chill. I'm listening.
I'm not excusing. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying. I'm just citing a potential reason. But I mean, overall inexperience of the team and Hackett specifically, and then it almost makes you wonder. It's like, all right, so he was in Seattle all these years.
Yep.
And the team was kind of very similar every year, and they had Carroll, and it's like one change, and now what? So it's not going to get much better, but I think it's got to get a bit better because how much worse can it get? I mean,
that's what I. Okay, there you go.
Horrific. I mean,
it's been bad.
I mean,
and for how
their wins are nauseating. That primetime win was nauseating.
And for how good the Seahawks have been with Geno Smith, my God, it's looking like. But it was always Pete Carroll. It was always Pete
Geno
Carroll.
Smith is going to be. He's going to be comeback player of the year. Geno Smith will be comeback player of the year at this point.
It's Saquon. 100%. What are you talking about? You think Geno is? Tino.
He's in contention for
Jamar Chase, offensive player of the year, Tino?
Dude, listen to me. We're going to talk about Jamar later. Geno Smith, they wrote me off, but he's not writing back. He's winning comeback player of the year. I'm calling it right now. He's winning comeback player of the year.
Oh, can I ask a question about quarterbacks? Is Jared Goff bad, or is Bill Belichick just unbelievably amazing at scheming against mediocre quarterbacks? Because Jared Goff it's the latter. So it's Belichick.
It's the latter. It's Belichick. Yeah,
my guy Goff has 11 tutties, 4 interceptions, something like, what is it? Almost 1,500 passing yards a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
To get to a goose egg by that Patriots defense, boy, was I excited. That's
Belichick.
All right. Just wondering. That's fine.
I think
that was my first. Oh, I have another question. Jacob, were you more excited about the Jets offense or the defense? What made you more happy? Did Sauce Gardner make you happy, or did Breece Hall make what was better? Because it looked so great. I mean, it looked so great. It was just great.
Both were just a delight yesterday, man.
They were a delight.
I can't even explain how.
Mike Kelly, jump in on this. Mike Kelly is a huge Jet fan, by the way. He is my mom's cousin, dude. He loves the Jets.
Shout out Mike Kelly, Connor's mom's cousin.
There you go.
Yes.
This dude is active in the comments right now. Gino all day.
Hold on, wait.
Where's he going? No, but Jacob, you were very, very correct about Sauce. Is that it? Well, it's Hall.
There he goes.
No!
You're looking at the second coming every Sunday now.
No,
there
you
he
gotta
goes.
relax. I just gave you credit for Sauce Gardner. Now you're comparing him to Darrelle Revis.
No. All seriousness though, I mean Breece Hall. We'll go to him first.
What I say?
We'll go to him first only because I mean I think we all knew how good Sauce was going to be, but
yeah, we did.
I mean, Breece Hall. I mean, it's one thing to be a young, explosive back, but it's another thing to be a young, explosive back with that great of a mind. I mean, his patience, unreal. He always makes the right decision, where to cut, when to speed up, when to slow. Like he's making his decision making looks like an 8-year veteran in the league. He doesn't look like a rookie at all.
Reminding me of a certain somebody down in Carolina. I'm not going to lie. Quite a
Christian
bit.
McCaffrey, a little bit.
Quite a bit. A little bit of Austin Eckler, a little bit of Christian McCaffrey, a little bit of a blend for me. Looks good.
And the thing is, one of my takeaways from week 5. One of the takeaways from week 5 too. My thing was Breece Hall is by far the best running back on the New York Jets. Not even a question. He is the best running back on this team, and he's overtaken it like that, like in a snap of a finger. He has overtaken Michael Carter and become running back number 1.
If that sorry, I'm cutting you off. If that 100-yard pass got in the end zone, this kid would have had. There was 2 plays where he was like an inch away from the end zone. Though I mean, Michael Carter vulturing touchdowns off of my man. This guy is the real deal, man. The real deal. Against that Dolphins defense with Wilkins in the middle and those good D tackles, man, that's a tough. That not an easy run defense by any stretch of the imagination at all.
And shout out to both New York teams being undefeated. Not undefeated. Sorry, winning records. Excuse me.
Yeah,
shout out to
both since 2015.
Tino, are we ready to talk about your Packers yet, or what?
Yeah, come on, Tino. Let's talk.
You look like you're in a spaceship right now, Tino.
I wish I was in a spaceship so I can get away from this Packers conversation. I'm
ready.
I'm not. I'll say that right now, but I have to do it. I'll say this again. Another one of my takeaways from this week was the Packers need to learn how to play a complete game of football because they haven't done it in 3 weeks. I'll go back to the Buccaneers when they beat them 14-12. Scored 14 points in the second half, got shut out in the second half. Not a complete game of football, especially offensively. Moving on to the Patriots game against Bailey Zappi, 7 points in the first half. We only had 7 in the first half.
Hey, put some respect on Zappy, okay? Like,
Okay.
let's
You know
show
what?
with this
It's
Zippy.
now.
Yeah,
Listen
put
to
some
me.
respect on the guy's name.
If
Like,
Stephen,
can we just?
if Stephen A. Smith can call the Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, I can call Bailey Zappi Bailey Zippy. Okay, so it's Bailey Zippy.
No,
Bailey
it's
Zippy.
not.
The Packers scored 7 points on them in the first half, scored 20 in the second half in overtime. So that was, again, not a complete game of football. The second half was much better than the first half. And we come to the Giants. The Packers debut on foreign soil. First game ever not on American soil. 20 points in the first half. And I'm not even counting the safety. I don't count that as points. The Packers put up 0 points in the second half because the Giants gave us those 2 points because they were wasting time. The Packers did not score a single point in the second half. I don't want to hear about Wink. I don't want to hear about Wink Martindale. I don't want to hear about the damn defense. I don't want to hear about any of that. The Packers need to learn how to play a complete game of football because they haven't done it yet. And I was going to say it's going to come back to bite them. It already has come back to bite them because it bit them in week 5 against the Giants. My Sunday was ruined before 1 p.m. even came around. I was not happy.
You woke up early for nothing.
That defense sucks, man. That defense is bad.
I did wake up
bad.
For nothing. And the one
Rasul Douglas is bad. He's bad. He's not good.
Okay, I know. Kayvon Thibodeau and Xavier McKinney. What a like just back-to-back plays they made on those tip passes. Was not expecting that in the slightest. That's just good awareness. A way to get your. I don't even know what to say about it because I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to think. I'm sitting here watching the game and I'm just like, how does Rodgers get 2 pass? Like, and Thibodeau didn't even bat it. It hit his face. It off his face mask.
Oh, yo, shout out Cameron Craig in the comments, yo. That guy is a real one, on God. And Mike Kelly said Rodgers did too much ayahuasca. So I would have to agree with Mike on that one. I think Aaron's throwing that ball like there's somebody there, and he's just not there. There's like Devontae's gone, man. Like it's not
also
like he. Yeah, you can go. It's all good. Let it out.
Sorry.
Let it out, brother.
It popped in my head again. The Packers obviously didn't watch this show and they didn't listen to me last week because I said, stop throwing the damn football on 1st and 10. Stop throwing it. Run the damn football. Why are you throwing 20-yard fade routes to Alan Lazard and guys? LaFleur.
Randall Cobb.
Hold on. Matt LaFleur. Wake up. Devontae is not here anymore. He's not in Wisconsin. Stop throwing the ball on 1st and damn 10 and putting your team in a hole when they're on a 3rd and 10 and they get screwed over. That's all I'm going to say. Conor, enjoy your freaking Giants 4-1. I'm done.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go, New York, baby. Come on.
The best picture of yesterday's game, Dexter Lawrence wrapping Rodgers up with his big gullet, and he's I love Dexter Lawrence, bro. That was awesome. But, the G-Men are a second-half team. They did not look great in the first half. Dable pumps them up at halftime. Danny Dimes comes out. Danny Dimes came of age yesterday morning. He looked very, very good. Dable did we all see Dable after the game getting all pumped up, going into the tunnel. Oh my God, it was awesome. So, coaching's everything. It's the reason my Matt Rule is out the door right now, in my opinion.
Yep. Jacob, what you got?
What a game. I mean, I honestly, second half starts, Giants start driving a little bit, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way they really win this game, right? And then the minute Saquon breaks off that run, game's over. I mean, the wind was just taken out of the Packers' sails. I mean, my goodness. But I don't want to beat up on Tino too bad because I've experienced a lot of, what he's feeling now. So, I'll wrap it up at that. But I will say the best thing for the Giants is that they just got one of their only 3 hard games on their entire schedule, maybe 4 or 5, out of the way. They go play the Ravens. They play Ravens at home next week, which will be tough. But then after that, if you look at their schedule, they literally play the 4 worst teams in the league in a row. They play in the Texans, the Lions, whoever else. So they're going to end up having a good record at the end of this year because they're crossing off a lot of boxes right now.
Tino,
I will
I'm
also
unbelievably sorry. I'm sorry.
The last thing I'll say before I want to move on to the NFC or go to a different team in the NFC East. The last thing I'll say here, the last thing is the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Jones came out and said this, and I fully understand and agree with what he said. Why would the running backs, either of them, not get the ball on a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 2 down in the Giants on the goal line? Why would that not be the case? Again, why are we acting like Devontae Adams is still there to dominate guys one-on-one? That second pass that was batted down by McKinney, guess who it was going to? Allen freaking Lazard. He wasn't even open. He can't make those kind of catches. Give the ball.
He's never open. He's never open.
Because he can't get open.
No.
Give it to 33 and 28 for the love of God. You're on the 6-yard line. Give it to Jones and Dillon. Just give it to the running backs. Like, I just moving on. The Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush is 5-0. It keeps going. They beat the LA Rams, and Cooper Rush didn't even play well. He only threw for 100 passing yards.
That tells you how good the Rams are. That tells you how good the Rams are.
Matt Stafford
is horrible.
It
also tells you how good the Cowboys defense is because Micah Parsons right now is looking like defensive player of the year. He is
looking
going
like
absolutely he's going absolutely mental so far this season. He's been phenomenal. That pass rush for the Cowboys I'm shocked because without Randy Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence, Parsons, Davenport, they are the best pass rushing team on 3rd down. They are the best team to get pressure on anyone on a 3rd down, no matter who they're playing. Dude, look at if you watch the games on 3rd down,
I know.
Especially if it's 3rd and 5 or more, the way they get pressure on the quarterback is unlike any other team right now. The Cowboys,
they make plays when it matters the most. Simple as that.
Exactly.
And that's how their defense is built. They're with Diggs too. Like he might let up some yards, but when it matters
this year.
And he is better this year. But when, like I said, when it matters,
not even just the interceptions because he's not giving up as many yards as he did last year already. He's he's better in coverage this year. He's so much better right now this year. I'm impressed with this Cowboys defense, and this is why they're winning without Dak. Mainly, it is because of the defense, and also shout out to Zeke because Zeke. Not that he's doing anything off the wall crazy, but he's doing what he needs to do, and he's playing his role and playing well in a Dak Prescott-less team. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Zeke as well, and Pollard too. The whole team is bonding around Cooper Rush, and that defense is the reason. Going away from the Cowboys, though, Jacob, are the Rams Super Bowl contention? Like, are their hopes dashed for that? I don't see a way they could contend for a repeat this year.
Yeah, they really, really, really look just so And to be honest with you, it's almost like it's almost ugly to watch them play because the amount that this guy relies on number 10, I mean, it's like sick. I mean, it makes me like. You can't even watch them. They're not even watchable right now, dude.
They're not at all.
No.
I'd rather watch a team with the same. What are they? 2-3 now? I'd rather watch a 2-3 team.
I'd rather watch the Seahawks right now.
100%.
Right? That's
just a young team with some nice young players surprising you, making big plays, energy. It's just. Oh my!
I'd rather watch the Jets. I'd rather watch the Jets by a lot.
This is awesome for the NFL, by the way. This is awesome.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The NFL needed. It's better when the New York teams are playing well in the NFL, especially. But
I never said that. I never said that.
No, I'm saying. I'm saying it. Let me ask though. Why did the Rams bother signing Allen Robinson? Like, do they know he's on the roster, or do they just forget?
I can't even talk about this, bro. Like, I don't even.
I need to ask. Like, they genuinely must have forgotten.
This is the part. This is the part of watching the game that makes me want to genuinely vomit. Like Jacob says, it makes me sick to watch the game because I completely agree with Jacob. The amount that he relies on Kupp and the amount of targets that is going to I'm a Notre Dame guy. Like Ben Skoranek is a good receiver. Don't get me wrong. But Jesus Christ, we're targeting this guy 7-8 times, getting him in on fullback, giving him
more
all these
than
different.
Robinson.
Yeah, and Higbee, Higbee looks great. I think Higbee's been overperforming. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, to give Allen Robinson 3 to 4 targets a week when you're losing, when you should be, obviously he's throwing the ball 10 to 12 times to Cup every game. It's truly, truly nauseating to not watch this guy spread the ball and have no trust in anybody besides Cooper Kupp and these other two schlubs who are mid-range at best. I don't understand it. I don't know. What does this say about McVay is the main thing. McVay is just
That's my question too, because we've crowned him as one of the best. I considered him a top 5 head coach for the last few seasons, one of the best young coaches. And now it's like they have no run game. Nobody else besides Cooper Kupp that can do anything. And I don't know if it's because of Stafford's elbow thing that he had in training camp, if that's still affecting him or what it is.
No way.
Their offensive line sucks. They can't protect him. Their defense looks worse besides Aaron Donald. It's just
you wouldn't even know if the other guys could do anything because they don't throw to them. I mean, how many times are you going to throw a 6-yard out and throw it to the other team's sideline? I mean, it's like. I was getting genuinely pissed off watching it.
Do we think it's McVay just giving Stafford the keys and just saying, I feel like McVay just let Stafford have it and is just giving him way too much freedom to do whatever the hell he wants, and he's not really advocating for these other guys who could be getting targets and could be making plays.
I'm telling you, Stafford's still hurt. That's part of it, dude. He has to.
It can't
because Stafford doesn't look right.
He's so consistent to Kupp. The numbers from Stafford to Kupp haven't changed. So how can you be telling me it's an elbow thing? It can't be. They'd be running the ball more. They wouldn't be throwing it as much as they're throwing it if it was an elbow thing. If he was hurt, they'd have him on the bench. If he was really hurt, unless they would, Tino. There's no way.
Who's their backup? Okay, but who are they going to put in their backup?
Yeah, but look at the again, the Cowboys, the thumb injury is a lot more serious.
They have a defense that is playing Tino, so much better.
Yes, but before the season, if I said to you, who's going to be better, the Rams defense or the Cowboys defense? You
would
say the Rams. Before the season, if I said, would you trust Cooper Rush to be a starting quarterback in the NFL? You'd say no way in hell. Now it's everything's exactly. So in reality, it's I'm with Jacob on this one. When I watch this team, it's truly sickening to see the inefficiency and the lack of targets for all these other guys. I don't understand it, and I'm honestly over it. I don't know what else to say.
It's not even about the lack of targets for the rest of the guys. It is specifically Allen Robinson because you signed him for 3 years, $45 million. You're paying him $15 million a year to do what? What?
And he's a wide receiver 1 on a lot of teams.
He was the wide receiver 1 for the Bears. I could name.
To be fair, he was garbage this last year with the Bears. Really bad.
All right,
but
who's going to be good in the Bears offense?
No,
seriously,
fair enough.
It's the Bears.
It's the same way that Odell Beckham Jr. was awful in the Browns offense and then came into the Rams offense and immediately began producing. I think Allen Robinson could have done the same thing. That's where I'm I'm putting.
That was the point.
That was exactly to replace OBJ.
Everybody thought that, but at this point, for me, I'm placing blame on Stafford, and I honestly think that they've just given too much trust, and they've given him the keys and just let him take the offense, and he's taking it nowhere but down. And and he's playing like garbage. Again, I can't talk about this anymore. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. I want to move on though. I have one question for each of you, same like I did last week. Conor, I'm going to go to you first. Will your New York Football Giants win the NFC East for the first time since 2011? Give it to me right now. They're 4-1. They're tied with the Cowboys, half a game back of the Eagles. What's happening here? Are they winning the NFC East for the first time in over a decade?
I want to say yes, but I think that the level of talent will eventually catch up with them. I just think that the Eagles are just so much better than the Giants from a talent perspective, and maybe even coaching because Nick Sirianni's done a great job also. So
Coach of the year, baby.
Think that they're going to win the division, but like we said, the Giants are making the playoffs, just not as
Hundo P.
Yeah, they're making the playoffs, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'll say this though. I'm riding high on my Eagles pick. That's the only thing. Is my 13-4 Eagles. That's my only division prediction that's gone well so far. Everything else is absolute dog water.
Yeah, no, it might go better than that.
Yeah, it might get 14, honestly. But Jacob, another playoff question for you. Will your New York Jets in a very, very tough AFC sneak in as a wild card team? Give it to me. Will the Zach Milf Hunter Wilson New York Jets get in as a wild card team? Let me hear it.
The AFC is just too good. If we were in the NFC, maybe. It's too stacked, I think. I think that probably whoever doesn't win the AFC North will finish above us, whether it be the Bengals or the Ravens. I think that the Dolphins will probably still end up. I mean,
Hey,
I think they will, but like you can't be sure, man. You really
Zach Wilson
can't.
would have to turn
Because, dude,
up.
yeah, but Bridgewater's hurt now too, along with Tua. So we don't really know
How
what
bad?
they're
How
looking at
bad
with
is
the Dolphins.
How bad is Bridgewater hurt?
Concussion.
I don't. They haven't. Yeah, I believe it's all these Dolphins. They need to get some new concussion people in there with that. Like
No, well, that's what they have to do
concussions.
now. As soon as somebody takes half of a hit, they have to get him off the field and put him in the blue tent.
No, I'm saying they need to get new people in there to because these guys keep getting concussions all the time. But anyway, yeah, Jacob, I wouldn't be surprised if Jets finished higher than the Dolphins right now. What I'm saying,
Mike Kelly, chill out, bro.
We didn't even mention the AFC West, where they have so many teams in there too, Jacob. So like, I agree with you. I felt like a weasel one out of you of you like coming on here and being like, "Let's go, Jets!" Like, maybe the Jets get it. Honestly, though, if the Jets beat the Packers next week, I'm gonna cry. Like,
Jets are going to beat the Packers next week. You heard it here first.
No, there's no.
Yeah,
Jacob,
I don't think so.
Back to back.
Jacob, we're watching that game together next
Green
week.
Bay meets New York.
Honestly, I might just have to come just to watch that game between you two schmoes. That would be.
You have to.
Pure comedy.
Yeah, I'll give a closing point real quick about the playoff whole thing. I will say, if they had the same record that they have now at 3-2 and overperformed like they have, you would have thought there'd be less of a chance than there was because of the AFC West struggles. Because we know that the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers are all underperforming right now, especially the first two that I mentioned. Not saying they get in, but I think it'll be a little closer than we thought. I think they'll miss out by a game or two, though.
Yeah, I mean, I had them going 6-11 before the year started, and they're already 3-2, so they can end up winning like maybe 7 or 8 games, maybe
even 8, probably like maybe 8-9. 8-9.
Yeah, maybe probably. That's right. That's what I had the Giants going, and they're 4-1. So I mean, again, we could see a lot of different things here. But I will say one thing about the New York Jets. This is a team that Jacob, and I think you and I were really the only two. Maybe Conor was, but Jacob, you and I were the only two. I know Peyton wasn't. Going into this year, we looked at what they did in the draft.
Nope.
We looked at what they did in free agency, and we looked at this team and said, you know what? They honestly have more young talent on their roster than the Giants do. If we're being real, Conor, I think you agree with that.
By a lot.
They have way more talent on that. Yeah, they have way more talent on that team than the Giants do. So, Jacob, I feel like you and I, while we're surprised by the 3 wins. We're not surprised by how well some of these guys are performing because we knew they had that potential coming into the year. Guys like Sauce, guys like Breece Hall, guys like Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson on the defensive end as well. We knew they had this potential. And dude, this is without Mekhi Becton too. If Mekhi Becton was playing right now, that'd be a whole nother aspect. So I commend the Jets for what they're doing at this point in the season. Final question for you, Peyton, though, and this will transition into our next kind of final discussion here. Has the NFL and the league as a whole figured out Ja'Marr Chase? Because you talked about this prior to the season, so that's why I gave this question.
Figured him out like he's not
there's film on him now. There's film on him. They can.
Yeah, they've definitely keyed in on him, and there's no way that he will reproduce his stats last year.
I thought he would, but no,
last year he had 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns on 80 catches. That's absolutely insane efficiency on the amount of targets he had and the amount of catches he had. So he was already in for a dip unless his volume increased. And as we've seen, Joe Burrow's done nothing but spread the ball out more to guys like Boyd, Higgins, Mixon. And yes, I do believe that it's tough because he's still top 5 talent-wise in the league at wide receiver. Yeah. I think the fact that he's built like a running back and he doesn't have the sweetest routes and the sweetest feet like Justin Jefferson kind of takes away from his ability to win in zone. I think he's still a man beater. I think he still can win down the field. Him and Joe just have to connect.
He did it against the Ravens, so
exactly. I don't think they've figured him out necessarily. I think he was due for a regression and he's feeling it right now. And they've definitely watched film on him and they've picked up on some of his tendencies. So yes, they figured him out to an extent. Does that mean that he's not top 10 or he's not still going to have huge?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
No,
yeah, no.
He's no way is he offensive player of the year. No way is he repeating for 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns. There's no way. No.
That was a miscalculation, but that was a miscalculation by your man Tino there. I did say he was going to win offensive player of the year. That was not correct. But transitioning this into the Bengals conversation, they're 2-3 through their first 5 games. losing last night, and a heartbreaker to the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson goes down the field, gets him in a field goal. Justin Tucker, one good leg, boots it through. He had that legendary post-game interview talking about just the preparation that goes into it. I believe he missed like 5 or 6 kicks in the pregame. And the reporter asked him about it, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a good thing they don't keep stats in my pregame workouts, huh?" And then he walks off. So I was like, "That's a pretty good interview." But
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, the guy, he's 25 of 26 for go-ahead field goals in his career, 96%.
Beast.
He's the second best kicker of all time. Could be the best by the time he retires. He's only been in the league for 10 years, so he's pretty good. But again, Bengals 2-3. That's the focus I want to go to. The offensive line still is a problem. Peyton, I had said this a while ago that maybe it's the fact that it's just a new unit. They have to try to gel together. It's a bunch of new guys, but they still haven't figured it out. What is going on with the fact that they still can't protect Burrow, and Burrow is still back there running for his life half the time when he's trying to throw?
I don't know if it's me. The timing, just everything about this Bengals offense just feels kind of off. Last year, it was like everything was perfect timing. Every throw, every protection, every block, every route, it was all very meticulous.
The blocking wasn't perfect. He was sacked.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great at the time. But they made big plays when it mattered the most. Is kind of what I'm saying. Like their efficiency, they overperformed. This Bengals team has all the pieces, all the players, all the coaching, all the experience at this point. Granted, they only, Joe Burrow hasn't been in the league very long, neither is Jamar Chase, but still extremely talented players. And the timing and the rhythm of the offense just feels like garbage. Like they just can't get into a flow. They can't find their scheme. They can't get guys open besides T. Higgins when he's healthy. I don't know. The offensive line, obviously, for namesake, they've definitely made improvements. And on paper, they look 10 times better than they did last year. I don't know if it's because Burrow and his offensive line are out of sync. I don't know. Mixon's looked bad. He's only averaged about 2.8 yards per carry, whereas last year he was at 4.5, 4.6 yards per carry.
Yeah.
I can't give you a concrete answer because, again, on paper, they look like they should be better. But when I watch the game, the whole rhythm of the offense just looks completely off-put. So it's been one of those teams where it's similar to the Rams, where I kind of get nauseated by the play calling, the rhythm, the lack of the flow of the offense, and the lack of timing and efficiency. It's honestly just
and the lack of separation some of the receivers are getting, because it's like Burrow last year, the receivers were getting separation a lot more. Burrow was flinging the ball downfield a lot, and it doesn't seem like the offense is doing the same thing. But Conor, thoughts on the Bengals? Are they a team that can turn it around and make a run at getting back to the Super Bowl? I don't know. It's tough AFC, so honestly I don't think so. And I was somebody who had him winning 14 games, so it's tough.
Super Bowl, I just don't see it happen. It's bad enough that the offensive line can't block, but also that T. Higgins seems to get injured like every single game.
Yeah,
he has something every single time.
So Burrow having to go to Chase over and over again without Higgins on the field is what's just really costing them at this point.
100%, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing both teams that played in the Super Bowl have obviously really big hangovers this year. But I do have to say, I think I see a better chance of the Bengals turning things around a bit more than the Rams.
Because I agree.
Me too.
The Rams are just so incredibly stagnant right now and just so dull. And we talked about identity before the year, immensely lacking that. I think the Bengals still have that a bit. I just think they need to do simple things a little bit better than they've been doing. I think their roster is definitely good enough to at least get into the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to contend for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I at this point, I don't think so either. I thought they had a chance to, but right now it's not looking that way. Final thing we'll talk about, Monday Night Football starting in about 20, 30 minutes. We got the Chiefs and the Raiders. I believe the Chiefs are home tonight. They're home against the Las Vegas Raiders, who started out 1-3. I had them as a 12-5 team going into the postseason. They don't look good at all. Devontae Adams called Derek Carr Hall of Fame QB. I don't know about that one, buddy. I think you miss Rodgers a lot more than he misses you, even though, again, the offense doesn't look phenomenal in Green Bay. Sticking on point, though. I'm going to go around the horn. I'll give my prediction real quick.
Right.
I got the Chiefs winning the game and bringing the 4-1. Listen, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to the Packers anymore. Patrick Mahomes, I have him winning another one.
You shouldn't have said it.
Mahomes has looked phenomenal. I think Chiefs got it. They're going to go 4-1. Chiefs got the win. Peyton around the horn. Who you got?
I got the Chiefs by like 5 million. Conor, do we still think the Steelers are going to win the division, bud? Or how's that?
Probably not.
Probably not. Is Kenny Pickett win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Conor thinks Steelers are contenders.
He didn't look that bad yesterday. They just can't finish. They can't finish. That's it.
It's also the Bills.
It was like 27-3.
It's the Bills.
Couldn't finish. He couldn't start the engine for the car. Come on now.
It's also it's the Buffalo Bills. But Connor, who you got winning this game tonight?
I have the Chiefs putting up another 40 spot and beating the Rams.
Hell yeah. Facts.
Yeah. Jacob, are we all in agreement here picking all the Chiefs?
No, I'm just kidding. I think the Raiders.
Yeah, you crazy.
I think I think it'll be close though. I don't think it's going to be a blowout tonight. Raiders need a win bad, but they won't get a win. But I think it'll be close.
He goes, they need it bad. They won't get one, but it'll be close. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in that game tonight. But again, a lot of crazy stuff going on. We got the divisional playoffs starting tomorrow. Jacob, send me picks from the Yankees game. Hopefully it's going to be a good atmosphere for you guys.
Hopefully. Again, you don't got to worry about us.
They're going to play Garrett Cole out game 1, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, they got Cole out game 1.
Oh.
Do I fully agree with it? No, but again, we'll see how he plays. First home game in the postseason at Yankee Stadium. Going to be a fun game to watch tomorrow from the comfort of my couch in Crescent, my own TV. I'm not going to be at the game, unfortunately, but that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Cold Hard Truth. You got myself, Peyton, Conor, Jacob. All our social media is down below in the description. Our Cold Hard Truth social media is down below in the description. Check out our YouTube channel. All our stuff again down below in the description. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
World Series champs, Guardians, according to Mike Kelly. Let's go.
Thank you.